Okay, so this is one of the first places I found it. It's on. I apologise for the complexity of this image, but this is what I'm working with, and I've not necessarily prepared these things for anyone to look at yet. This is on a lot of this is my own personal work. So that's Sheila Nagig. Sheila Nagig is this kind of
Sheila who?
Sheila Nagig. I don't even know what it means.
She Irish?
Yeah,
I thought so. She a friend of Tulatha Denan?
maybe. I could say, do you know this? Oh, let's not go into that. I'm going to go off on another tangent now. So this lady is opening up her private parts, and was a rude thing often seen on many medieval churches, early medieval churches particularly. I would cite that it's actually coming from the old Celtic Christianity as the Roman Christianity was taken over, and it was one of these last vestiges. I found it because I had slipped my Achilles tendon, was living on an island off Anglesey called Cubby Island, and found all this stuff on the local churches. And this is what helped me to find this stuff. And I'd made my second episode of The Secret Science. Kind of, I'm getting excited about all this stuff, but I hadn't made the discovery yet. And at the end of the second episode, I put a pyramid and a Vesica Pisces over her vagina there. And you can see there's like a little pyramidic triangle right over her vagina there, yeah? And there's a Vesica Pisces over the top. Oh, sorry, a Vesica Piscis. Forgive me, I keep saying Pisces. And then I rewatched the episode after I'd made it, and then I was like, oh shit, there's actually something in there. So I spent about 2 days drawing various shapes and things like that over it until I derived all the angles, and a much more primitive version of that I put over it, and that's a much more advanced version of what I called the pattern.
You know, Close Encounters of the Third Kind with the mashed
Potato Mountain. Is that what that is?
A little
no,
bit.
I've never had that vibe from it. No.
Are you not channeling something when you put in these?
Oh, when I'm doing these things, it does feel like that. Yeah, it does. You kind of do definitely go into a bit of a trance, and like you're looking behind all these layers, and yeah, definitely a trancey thing going on there. So you'll just have to take my word for it at this point, because we'll as we advance down these next few slides, we'll get to the bottom of this. So if you'd like to go on to the next one, please.
Whoa.
Oh, that's cool, because it's a PNG. So let's not. Can we go back one side? There's something that I would like to mention. So she's opening up a vagina. She's the goddess. And what's inside the vagina of the goddess? Well, it's the internal reproductive workings of the material of the matrix.
Yes.
So one of the things I think they might be pointing at is that this is the, how would I put it? Like the crystalline geometry at the bottom of everything. If you get me?
In the fanny.
Well, that's a coding, isn't it? She's a goddess. She's opening herself up. She's letting you see her reproductive organs.
Right.
So what I'm thinking is that
Her fanny.
Fanny.
Right.
Not just fanny. Not any old minge.
Right.
So she's showing you her reproductive system workings. So I'm thinking the way they're thinking was this is like the geometry at the bottom of
Creation.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is what I think. I can't prove that right now.
Where everything begins.
Yeah. And when you see, so we talked about the golden ratio. In fact, let's go on the next slide if you don't mind.
It's this one.
So that's the pattern itself. We don't need to look at that. So here's how it fits into the pyramids and Stonehenge exactly. So it does two things. It does something called squaring the circle, which is an old geometric thing. So that's there. I'll not go into that, but that's a big deal. And I can't, without you sitting there and looking at it, it's very hard to explain verbally how that matches up, because it just matches up. There's no other way of looking at it. It matches up. Yeah, we're getting that.
I'm still on the pyramid. I'm still looking at the pyramid.
Well,
got Stonehenge.
If you look at Stonehenge, there's like an outer circle that's matched exactly. There's an inner circle that's matched exactly. The angle of the stones, any discrepancy in the angle of those stones is due to the drawing and not due to the pattern. So you can see the blue stones, what's called the blue stones in the middle.
Yes.
Those are matching the angles. Everything. There's nothing there out of place at all.
Who's in the middle? Who's that in the Vescapiscus? Do you think that? But
That's
chief,
me,
chief
nude
druid
on New Year's Day,
Yeah,
off my head on mushrooms.
yeah, and then sort of next to a plan view of the pyramid. Yeah, it always strikes me odd as how the King's Chamber is off center in the Great Pyramid.
Yeah, well, the peak of it's got a line going through it. The bottom left hand corner's got a line going through.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
The shaft going up to
I'm
there.
not saying it doesn't correlate. I'm just it's always
Yeah, no, I didn't think it was.
when you look at the plan of the pyramid, you think, oh, why did they, because they were such great, but why didn't they put it directly above, But there must be a reason.
Yeah, it's usually in those discrepancies they're telling you the biggest things.
Yes, yeah, the giveaway. That's the giveaway. Something isn't right here. You need to look at this because that's where the truth lies.
Yeah, and although Egypt's fascinating, going into these specifics too much for me, I was on another path. Egypt's, another rabbit hole.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Right, now here we go. This is what's at the bottom of the pattern. That is the pattern without the heptagon on there, the septagon. However, I've left the pyramid on there, and now we can see that there's a 3, 4, 5 triangle at the top. If we click on the top left hand corner, I've actually put the measurements on there, so you can see 3 squares down, 4 squares across, compared to the 11 and 11 of the Earth and the Moon. Those are the exact sizes, scales of the Earth and the Moon together, and it all comes from this Vesica Pisces geometry at the bottom. This opening of the minge of the goddess, the hairy biffed of the goddess.
Now then, diameter of the Earth has a bulge, doesn't it? Now, is this a rounding error, or is this incorporated, or? So,
it is. Look, right. So we're left-brainy Westerners.
Yeah.
And we go too precise, and we're going. It's this. It's actually that. Well, what they're getting at is they're saying symbols, all these things. It's this Platonic ideal come down to the real world, so it's not quite as perfect. It's not 360 days. It's 365. So what do you do on those 5 days? We fuck it off and get drunk. That's what they did.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're being too precise.
Yeah, we're looking at symbols and these close approximations and these wonderful rhymes and this poetry of the universe. Yes, the Earth has an equatorial bulge. Yes, that actually changes depending on where the moon is around the Earth and where the sun is and what season it is and all these other things. Right, yeah. But as an average, just like the precessional numbers, there's certain times we're going slower, there's certain times where it's going faster. It's just in the middle when you use all this stuff together. They get in at a teaching method. They're not getting hung up on all these little details. What they're doing is putting a system together of near enoughs to teach you all this stuff.
I get you.
Now, I will say that when I was 15 years old and my mystical side started to really come to fruition, every night, I was 15 in 1994. Every night, I remember, for some strange reason, I would see 11:11 on the clock.
Oh, right.
And then 11:11 kept popping up to me all the time. And my YouTube channel's Brother Bones 11:11. Brother Bones is one of my old bands. 11:11 always followed me. Not for years, to be honest. I feel maybe I've advanced beyond that. But I did realise that if you look at the geometry of the Earth there, it's 11 by 11 units. And it's 7 units from the top to the top of the pyramid. So, it's these same things over and over again. A lot of people talk about the 11:11 phenomena.
Wow.
Since the internet, obviously 1995 is a little bit pre-modern internet.
And that 11:11 is derived by the 3, 4,
5
triangle of the moon.
Mm-hmm. Being that. So now if we look on the right, we got the literal size of the Earth and the moon. Diameter of the moon, 2160. The radius, 1080. Half of the moon plus half of the Earth is 5040.
Yep.
Earth is 7920. You can add all those up, they're all 9, and they're all those numbers that we saw in the 3, 4, 5 triangle.
And they're all multiples of 9.
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah.
It's just absolutely bizarre. And I'll tell you, as of my work that I've got lined up and stuff that I've preliminarily looked at, that outer circle is actually representative of the sun at a certain ratio compared to everything else. So you could literally put the sun in there and then do a little mathematical tweak. I forget what it is. And it's the size, it's correct to the size of the sun at a scale. And that scale being one of these numbers. Jupiter, Mars, I didn't get as far as Saturn, Venus, Mercury's so interesting, being the messenger of the gods, and Hermes, mes being like a measurement, the thing between one thing and another. This ratio idea, this relationship we've got between one amount, the gap between, and then another amount. But like I said, I don't want to go into too much because I'll ruin the few things I've left from my book and not splurged all over your podcast titties.
What does it all mean? What does it mean?
Oh, mate. The worst thing is, I started off... Look, either the universe has had so many iterations and failed attempts and has somehow come to these things of its own evolution, or I was totally wrong when I said Catholics are full of shit. I went to Catholic school, everybody. I don't mean everybody else out there.
We're the same.
Nice people.
Yeah,
we went to Catholic school.
I was like, what are you doing showing me this guy being tortured, trying to do all this mind control stuff on me, asking me into a booth with a weird priest, getting me to spill my beans about stuff I've done, so you know what I've done and I've got no idea about what you've done. It was obvious to me. It was obvious to me because I was using those same tactics to get away with shit in school. Do you know what I mean? I was using mind control and stuff like that, being all sweet with the teachers and then nicking food from the cupboard. Do you know what I mean? I was using those same tactics, and yeah, there's a fingerprint of
God.
Yeah,
like an argument for intelligent design. Then, just in these repeating patterns of numbers.
Well, it's as if there was a high wisdom in the first things placed down there. It went, and the best analogy is the four elements, weirdly, but it went like four numbers. Is essentially what it said. It went, right, we got the number one, which is you're a one, you're a one. I'm a one. The whole thing's a one. Those cells are one. So there's smaller ones and greater ones. So there's no such thing as really one thing. These are all these arbitrary things we were talking about, like with the geometry. Then you've got two, which is like me and you. But then that makes three because I've got me, you, and this me-you system we've got going on. We've got this information sharing, and we're kind of having a knowledge baby now. Now we're having a conversation.
Yeah, three can't exist without one and two.
Yeah, and then three can't exist on its own either because this knowledge baby suddenly is something else. and this 1-2 systems now a fourth system that starts again, and then we have another conversation and we have this knowledge baby, and then we're new again. And it's a repeating cycle. And this is Pythagorean philosophy. This is his understanding of number.
A lot of the Gnostic sort of cosmology starts with this, the logos.
Yeah, the logos.
Being the word is number one, and
word up.
Sophia, wisdom. It's the way the ancients had of trying to make sense of creation is quite profound.
Have we done 2 hours again without getting to the end?
Yeah. We go again.
I'll tell you what, though. I mean, yeah, no, we have to, because there's stuff on the end of this. Like, okay,